Snow fell softly on the rooftops of Detroit as Sarah Mitchell stood by her tiny apartment window, clutching a lukewarm mug of instant coffee. Her breath fogged the glass as she looked down at the dimly lit street below. The radiator hissed and rattled, but the cold seeped in from every corner. Her fingers were red from the chill. The kitchen was barely more than a nook, with peeling wallpaper and a flickering light overhead. The fridge hummed, mostly empty except for half a loaf of bread, some mustard, and a nearly finished carton of milk she had diluted with water earlier that week. She turned away from the window and looked over at her son, Oliver, asleep on the worn-out couch. His tiny body was wrapped in 2 blankets. His shoes, scuffed, frayed, and split at the seams, sat near the door, still damp from yesterday's snow. She sat down at the table with a sigh, her body aching from another late shift. Cleaning office buildings downtown. Her phone buzzed with a reminder: rent overdue, final notice, eviction pending. Her stomach twisted. Sarah had tried everything: government assistance, food stamps, church drives. Every door had closed in her face. She had nothing left to pawn. No family, no backup plan. Then she remembered something her friend Amanda had said. There was a man, a Mr. Daniels, who sometimes helped struggling mums through a private fund. Amanda had gotten shoes for her kid and a week of groceries once. She had passed along a number. Sarah opened the Messages app on her cracked screen and typed out a message, her thumbs trembling. Every word felt like swallowing her pride. Hi, I don't know if you help people, but I'm a single mum and I have no one else to ask. I need help with rent and some shoes for my son. Please, anything will help. I'm sorry to bother you. Sarah M. She stared at it. Should she really send this? It was probably a scam, or a dead number, or worse, someone who would laugh at her desperation. But then she tapped send and waited. At the top of a glittering skyscraper on the other side of the city, Ethan Daniels leaned back in his chair. His office was minimalist, all glass and steel, with a stunning view of the skyline. He wore a tailored charcoal suit and had just wrapped up a strategy call with investors. He glanced at his phone, surprised to see a message on his personal line. Almost no one had that number. He opened it. He read the message once. Then again. He was about to dismiss it as spam when something stopped him. The tone was quiet, humble, apologetic. He frowned. He had spent years building his empire from scratch. But few people knew he'd grown up in a trailer park outside Flint, raised by a single mother who worked double shifts just to keep the heat on. He knew that kind of struggle, the kind where shoes are a luxury. He responded, Sarah, I think you may have texted the wrong person, but I'd like to know more. Sarah's heart skipped. She stared at the message. Wrong person. Shame flushed through her chest. Her fingers hovered above the keyboard as she typed back. I'm so sorry. I was told this number belonged to a man named Mr. Daniels, who helps single mums. I didn't mean to bother you. I really didn't. Please ignore my message. I'm just having a hard time. Ethan leaned forward. His jaw tightened as he reread her reply. He opened his laptop and did a quick background search. He had the tools. In under a minute, he had her full name, work history, and address. Everything lined up. Single mother. Worked 2 jobs. No criminal record. Lived in subsidized housing. No recent deposits over $1,000 in her bank history. This wasn't a scam. This was real, he typed back. You didn't bother me. How much is your rent and how much do you need for your son's shoes? Sarah read the message, blinking back tears. Her hands trembled again. This couldn't be real. She sat still for several minutes, the silence broken only by Oliver's soft breathing. Finally, she replied, $940 behind on rent, $40 for shoes. Within minutes, Ethan opened his PayPal account and transferred $1,500. He then sent another message. Rent paid. Please get Oliver a good pair of shoes. Also, here's my number. If you ever need help again, don't be afraid to ask. Sarah's body collapsed into the chair. Her eyes flooded. She covered her mouth. the sound of a sob escaping. Her whole body shook. She hadn't cried like this in years, not out of relief, not out of feeling seen. That afternoon, she walked with Oliver to the nearest store and bought him warm winter boots, red ones, his favorite color, a hat with a pom-pom, wool socks, and groceries for the week. For the first time in months, their fridge had food. That night, she snapped a picture of Oliver standing in the snow outside their building, proudly wearing his new boots. His grin was ear to ear. She sent it to Ethan with the caption, "You changed our lives. Thank you, Mr. Daniels." Ethan stared at the picture on his phone. Something in him shifted. He smiled, genuinely. It felt foreign and good. They began texting now and then. At first it was simple, thank yous and check-ins. But over time, the conversations deepened. Sarah sent photos of Oliver's drawings from school, funny things he said, even the occasional voice note of him telling jokes. Ethan found himself looking forward to them more than he admitted. She told him about her dreams, becoming an office manager one day, going back to school. He told her about his mother, how she used to say, "A kind heart is a treasure that never runs out." They never crossed lines, never said what was building. But it was there, between every text. One night, when Ethan couldn't sleep after a brutal board meeting, he messaged her. "Tell me something good," Sarah replied quickly. "Oliver won most kind in his class. He said it's because Mama says it's free to be nice." Ethan stared at that message for a long time. A month later, he had a business trip to Detroit. On impulse, he messaged her, "Would you and Oliver have dinner with me? Just a casual thank you dinner." Sarah panicked. She had nothing to wear. Her nicest dress was a borrowed one from a friend. But when she told Oliver, his face lit up. "Mama, is it the man who gave me my red shoes?" She smiled. "Yes, baby." They met at a small family diner on the east side. Ethan showed up not in a suit, but in jeans and a navy sweater. He looked almost boyish, relaxed, still sharp, but human. Oliver ran to him immediately and hugged him. Ethan knelt down. "You must be the famous Oliver," he said with a grin. "I'm 6.5, Oliver declared proudly. Dinner was warm, easy, full of laughter. Sarah was witty, gentle, bright. Ethan was more than a CEO. He was attentive, thoughtful, present. When Oliver fell asleep with his head in Sarah's lap, Ethan offered to drive them home. They stood at the door to her apartment. "You saved us," she said softly, eyes full of emotion. Ethan shook his head. "No, you reminded me what matters." Over the next few months, he kept visiting. They shared meals, stories, life. He helped her rewrite her resume, even arranged a job interview for her at one of his subsidiary companies. She got the job. She was now an assistant office manager. They built a routine, texts, visits, movie nights, trips to the park. Oliver started calling him E, and later, quietly, Dad. One snowy evening, as they walked back from the corner store with bags of groceries, Ethan stopped outside her building. "Sarah," he said gently, "I didn't expect this, but you and Oliver, you matter to me. Deeply." Her breath caught in her throat. The wind bit at their faces. "I feel the same," she whispered. He leaned in and kissed her. 2 years later, they married in a small ceremony at a public park. Sarah wore a simple ivory dress, and Oliver wore a tiny suit with red shoes. At the reception, Oliver gave a toast that made everyone laugh and cry. "Mama was looking for money," he said proudly, "but I think we found a daddy instead." And Ethan, standing beside Sarah, kissed her hand and smiled through tears. From a wrong number came a miracle, and from a desperate text came a love none of them ever expected.